multiply the 84.78 times 4, that's what I had down here, and I came up with 339.12. And then the 3 times 1 is 3. Now I have to divide the 3 into the 339.12 to simplify that, and that's what I was doing there. 3 into 339.12, no decimals out here, just move this one straight up. 1 times 3, 1 times 3, 3 times 3, 0, a lot of people forget that. You have to divide into it when you bring 1 down. You bring that 1, you gotta say 3 goes into 1 0 times. You need that placeholder. 0 times 3, subtract, bring down, 4. So, and they say to round it off to the nearest whole, it would be what? 113. Because this is not 5 or more. You would make it 114.
So it said around to the nearest whole. Where did it say that at? On that problem or?
On the problem. It says to the nearest. That might be a problem too. The wrong book, the wrong page. No, you have the right book. Oh no, you have a reading book. Thank you, President. Okay. Well, that answers the question about your confusion. We're on page 255. Well, we were. We'll move on now. But you see what I'm saying? Don't get if they give you a formula and tell you if you multiply this times this times this, you'll get the volume. They got to tell you what this, and this are.
They laid it out.
They have to. You can only have one unknown. If they're looking for the volume, they got to give you everything else that goes with the formula. Only one thing could be missing. Now, they could give me the volume, and they could have left out the radius. They could leave out anything, because you still know that if you multiply this times this times this, you got to get that number. And so you can always figure it out. Okay, but this did say to the nearest inch, to the nearest cubic inch. What would be your answer? But I just want to show you, they can give you any formula in any shape, as long as they tell you the formula that it takes to figure it out. If they don't give you a formula in the problem, it's because it's a rectangle, a square, a triangle, or a circle. Those are the ones they expect you to know. And so they will always, even on the GED test, they give you the formulas for those shapes. But you got to go back on the page and look for them. So it's just good to just know in your mind that perimeter is the distance around. You just add up all the sides. Circles don't have sides, so you know there's a different formula. You have to memorize. If you have to make yourself flashcards, you need to know there's 2 things for circle. Pi times the diameter, or pi times the radius squared. You got to just memorize those 2 things. And you have to know that radius squared ought to trigger to you that that's the area, because the area always has squared something. And the other one then would be the distance around. Now the way I remembered it is that 1's pi d, 1's pi r squared. The d is for distance around. So if I want the distance around, I'm going to use the pi d. If I want the area, I know I need the other one, pi r squared. Then you have to remember what's the r, what's the d. D is diameter, r is radius. What's the difference? What are they?
One is all the way across.
One's all the way across, and that's the what?
Diameter.
Diameter. And the radius is halfway across. So that if they give me a diameter, but I know I'm working with area, I know I need a radius. So cut it in half. If they give me a radius and I know I need the distance around, I got to double that radius because I need a diameter. You see, all those things, you got to just kind of know yourself so that you don't have to think about that when you get the problem. You don't have to turn back and try to find what's the formula for that. Those formulas should be formulas you just know. Okay? And then for area, you just got to remember side times side. Side times side, you find the area of a square of a rectangle. Triangle, wait a minute, that's only half of a figure, so it's side times side, take half of it.
Divided by.
Divided by 2. Just divide it by 2. they're gonna give you a side. The other thing you have to know for a triangle is that it has to be the straight line that's measured. They could give you a triangle like this and tell me that this is, I don't know, 5 and this is 7. And they want the areas not 7 times 5. They have to give you a straight line in there somewhere. It's the base times the straight line, that height. They can tell me this might be, I don't know, just 4. So it's 7 times 4 for the area of that triangle, not 7 times 5. You gotta have a straight. They may even have it, I don't know,
So it's
shaped
always-
like that, and then that might be a house, and they may do it like this, and they give you the straight line there and here.
So it's always
You got
base
to have a
times-
height,
So it's always base times the height to find out
base
the.
times height, to find out the area of a triangle. Base times height, then divided by 2.
And that gives you.
The area of that triangle.
So you don't need the 5 at all?
Don't need the 5 at all.
Okay.
Mm-mm. You wouldn't use the 5 at all, unless they ask you for the distance around that triangle. See, then I'd have to add the 5 and the 7 and the whatever else. Yeah, see,
We gotta learn these words.
Base times height divided by 2 equals
Mhm.
the area.
of a triangle. Okay. So the area of a square is what? How do you find it?
Side by side.
Area of a rectangle?
Side by side divided by 2.
Rectangle?
And it's just the same.
It's
Side
the
by
same
side.
as a square, side times side. Only one you divide by 2 is a triangle.
Oh, I thought you, okay.
Because a triangle,
I thought she said triangle. I'm sleeping, Miss Harris.
because remember that if it's a triangle, it's half of that space. If this is 5 and this is 9, when I multiply 5 times 9, I'm getting all of this. See?
So divide
All
by
of it.
2.
So you divide by 2 just to get this triangle part of it. Okay? All right? What's the volume of that barrel in number 5 on 255? Remember that we said that volume is area times the height.
0.7536.
Hmm?
0.7536.
Is that 0.4 times 1.5?
I'm asking you.
What you say?
How do you find the volume of that shape? And
Pi
volume,
times radius times height.
pi times radius squared of a circle times height. Remember that volume is the area times how high it is. So the area of that circle is pi times the radius squared, right? So it'd be
And
pi
that's times
times
itself,
0.4
right?
times 0.4, then times 1.5. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to find the
'Cause
volume,
you just
it's
gotta add the
pi
other
times.
Multiply 1.5. Go ahead.
So in order to find the volume, it's pi times 0.4.
Radius squared
Oh, okay.
times height. Because it's of a circle.
So what
So
you,
all you have to memorize is your areas. The area of a circle is pi times the radius squared, right? Now times the height of it, how tall it is, because it's that same space all the way down.
so if I would've just did 0.4 times 0.4.
Okay, pi
That's-
times radius
1.5,
squared
that would've
times
been
height.
wrong.
Right, because you didn't do the 3.14, you gotta still multiply times pi.
Pi is 3.14.
Pi times the radius squared. You do one thing at a time. You find the area of the circle, which is pi times the radius squared.
What is pi again? 3 point what?
3.14 is gonna give you,
2 times.
12.
not 2 times, it is times itself twice. Pi times the radius squared. Pi is 3.14, just write what they have.
Right. times
The radius is 0.4, squared is 0.4 times 0.4.
Right, that's what I said.
Okay.
2 times.
What is the
You
radius?
said 2 times, I thought you said times 2. The radius is that little line, the radius goes halfway across the circle.
Okay, great.
You
And
got
they
the
gave
right
it to you
book?
that it's 4.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so all you would have to do is add it to it again,
Radius is.
right? Well, I better learn.
One
how to
straight,
do
got
this.
that
That's
wrong.
pi.
I always get it wrong.
That's the radius
That is
squared,
right there.
and what's the height? 1.5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta multiply this times that
Plus.
times that. So 3.14 times 0.16, right?
See, man.
Because 4 times 4 is 16.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
2 numbers past the decimal, 2 numbers past the decimal.
Right.
Equals longitude. Yes, son.
Book.
You know, it's funny that you said that because people don't use that anymore. But I called my sister long distance the other day in Detroit to say I was doing something and driving, and somebody just flew past and I said, dang, they booking. And I just laughed because I said, people don't say that. So I called my sister. I said, you know, it's so funny. Somebody just passed me by and I said,
Book.
I said, you remember? No, I said, when she answered, I said, you remember when we used to say book?